ich zwar gerade schon, aber whatever.
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
I wanted to go over the case with you.
Okay, what have you got?
I seem to have hit a roadblock. There's an officer posted at Dupre's family tomb, and he won't let me in.
Makes sense. Who's the officer?
I've never seen him before. He's young, has a small scar over his left eye, and a distinct Dixie accent.
Ah, yes, that would be Officer Grant. He's only been with the department for about 2 months. I don't know a lot about him, but he's already got the reputation for being the type of policeman who'd go out of his way to help old ladies cross the street. Typical Southern gentleman, it seems. Perhaps you can use that to your advantage?
That's enough about the case for now.
Okay,
That's it, I think.
then you'd better get back to it.
Hey, Addie. Here I am.
Hello, Miles.
Addie?
Yes, dear?
I was wondering if you could do me a favor.
What is it?
There's an officer posted in front of Madame Dupre's family tomb, and I need to get a look inside. Could you use your wiles and charm to distract him?
My wiles and charm,
Well, you are irresistible, darling. I'm sure he wouldn't turn away a lady in need. Say you've gotten lost in the cemetery and ask him to show you the way out.
Should we really be tricking a police officer like that?
There's no harm in it, and I won't be but a moment inside. It's in a good cause.
All right, let's go then. Excuse me, officer. I was wondering if you could help me?
What do you want?
I seem to have gotten all turned around. Do you have any idea how to get to the front gate?
My suggestion would be to turn around and head back the way you came.
Yes, I've tried that, but I seem to just be going in circles. Perhaps you could point me in the right direction?
Stop right there. That's quite enough from you.
I beg your pardon?
Don't think I can't tell what your game is. You're trying to lure me away from here and into some alley where your gang of Sambos is gonna rob me blind. Exactly how many of them have you got lying in wait for poor unsuspecting fools you bring them?
Just one. And he doesn't appreciate you talking to his wife that way.
You know, Miles, sometimes I forget how absolutely delightful it is to watch you lose your head.
Miles, was that really necessary?
I'm sorry, Addie. You know how I get with people whose minds are full of that rubbish.
Let's just get him out of sight before this lands both of us in jail. That bush over there should work. I have to say, I wasn't expecting assaulting a policeman to be on today's activity list.
It'll be fine. When you're on the force as long as I was, you can pretty much get away with murder.
Although I think you may have already used up that privilege.
Well, it's been fun, but I need to take my wiles and charm over to my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre. I'll see you at home later, dear. Try to stay out of trouble.
Wir sollen also keinen Ärger machen. Wir gehen also irgendwo hin und fangen an, Leute zusammenzuschlagen? Das war doch sicherlich, was sie meinte, oder?
What a dramatic statue. I'm rather surprised no one has defaced it. Hang on. You don't suppose this is... Surprise, surprise! A hidden compartment with a stash of pills inside. Seems Mr. Montgomery has a little business on the side. That nest is full of eggs. But where's the mother bird?
Perhaps she abandoned it.
Always assuming the worst, aren't you, Miles? This must be what was going to be Madame Dupre's final resting place.
I don't see anything inside.
What, were you expecting a note from her attacker?
No, but I was hoping for some kind of clue at the very least. Douglas Chesterton, 1791 to 1840. Good riddance. William Arthur Chesterton, 1770 to 1837. Gone but never forgotten. John Patrick Chesterton, 1740 to 1825. Patriarch, leader, family man. Desmond Chesterton, 1745 to 1810. Strong in life, stronger in death. Celine, 1823 to 1844. Taken too soon, rest ye with the angels. Dale Chesterton, 1795 to 1843. A good man, rest in peace. Sarah Chesterton, 1784 to 1812. I told you I was sick. Jane Scott Chesterton, 1746 to 1815. Ab Eterno.
These crypts are reserved for future generations of Chestertons to rot in.
There are only 3 left.
Then let's hope the Chestertons aren't opposed to spending eternity cozied up to one another.
Aber das macht doch nichts. Es gibt doch sowieso, soweit wir wissen, nur 3 lebende Chestertons momentan. Also, egal. Dann lasst uns mal einen Mord begehen.
I have some questions for you.
Oh, goody.
You'll never believe what I found in your family's tomb.
Oh? Was it a ghost?
No, it was these vigor pills. You wouldn't happen to know how they got there, would you?
I see you really are good at your job, aren't you, Mr. Fordham?
Look, Andrew, I'm in no mood for games.
Hier scheint eine gesprochene Zeile zu fehlen. Was Sie hier machen, ist höchst illegal. Ich habe keine andere Wahl, als Sie da bei der Polizei anzuzeigen. Ich bin gewillt, über Ihre ungesetzlichen Aktivitäten hinweg zu... Nein, warte, das ist Dialog. Mein Gott, bin ich ein Depp. Oh, Mann. Also, Frage an die Leute, die gerade geistig aktiver und schlauer sind als ich, also insbesondere Blueberry und den Chat. Ist Unit noch da? Welche der Optionen sollen wir nehmen? Unit ist noch da. Unit sagt Pillen. Hat Blueberry auch eine Meinung? Sieht nicht so aus. Dann...
Just be quiet and take one of these pills.
I suppose one would help. Thank you. My goodness, I always forget how fast those pills work. My heart is racing. You said you had questions, didn't you? Well, go on, ask them already. We mustn't waste any more time.
Well, that seems to have done the trick. I just hope we haven't doomed him to a heart attack.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
I can't believe anyone would be so cruel as to do what that wretched bastard Martin did to her. Mother is kind and generous, and everyone loves her. She's even good enough to hire actual people to do the housework. Not many wealthy families do that, you know. They just use automated machines or hire servants to operate the manual ones.
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
I study pharmacology at the university. I'll be graduating next year if all goes well. I just hope Mother has recovered enough by then to understand what's going on. She and Jean were so proud of me when I started university. I'd be so disappointed if she couldn't see me finish.
I take it Jean is your stepfather.
He is. Mother married him 5 years after my father died of consumption.
My condolences. Do you have a good relationship with him?
Not terribly. Truth is, I hardly ever see him. In fact, before the funeral, I hadn't seen him at all this month.
Where is he now?
I don't know for certain, but it seems likely he's at his hunting cabin.
His hunting cabin?
Yes, he often goes there. It's his way of leaving polite society behind and spending time with his thoughts. Considering what Mother just went through, well, I would guess that's where he's gone. Although to be honest, I don't know why he's not here with Mother in her time of need.
Why do people run away from their problems instead of facing them? Why, Miles?
Do you know where this cabin is?
Afraid not. I don't share his passions, so I never cared much to accompany him on his outings.
What can you tell me about your sister, Juliet?
Juliet, smart as a whip and just as forgiving. She's a fighter, that one. Despite being the only woman in her class, she's managed to rank at the top.
Impressive.
I only wish Mother was more accepting of Juliet going to university. But you don't want to hear about boring family matters, I'm sure.
Oh, but family matters are my favorite. It's always so reassuring to know how much worse off everyone else is.
What exactly were the circumstances leading up to your mother's supposed death?
A few days ago, I arrived home from school and found her collapsed on the floor. She wasn't breathing, so I immediately contacted Dr. Fellows. He examined her and pronounced her dead. We were all completely shocked. I was devastated. She'd been in fine health. In fact, she'd just been out riding that morning. You can imagine our surprise at the funeral when she sprang back to life.
Ja, offensichtlich.
What's your relationship with the servants like?
Relationship? I don't have one with them. They're servants. Mother always made it clear that they weren't part of the family, just help. We've only got 2 on staff right now, though, the kitchen girl and the gardener.
How is it you know Albert Martin?
He works at the greenhouse where my sister Juliet does her research. The 2 of them were involved romantically, and Mother didn't like that at all. I heard their fights. They were ghastly.
What exactly made you suspect he was the one responsible for what happened to your mother?
Well, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? His mother's a notorious voodoo witch. Those people do all sorts of awful things to our kind. It's all out of spite, you know. He knew Mother disapproved of his relationship with Juliet, so he plotted to get rid of her.
So, you're running some kind of pill business on the side?
I'm providing a service, Mr. Fordham. Not everyone in this life is as lucky as I am. People pay top crown for luxuries like airship tickets and social club memberships. Medicine should be affordable to all. Dr. Tennyson has a patent on the energy pill formula and thus a monopoly on the market. That means he can charge whatever he wants. Students use these kinds of pills all the time, you know. Academic rigors can be overwhelming, and concentrating can be difficult without help sometimes. I've got the skills and the equipment. If I can replicate the formula, help my fellow students, and sell them at a much more reasonable price, why shouldn't I?
There's the fact that what you're doing is illegal.
Oh, you're starting to sound just like Mother. And just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's immoral. I can think of plenty of examples where the opposite is true.
You're probably the most altruistic person I've met all month.
The sad part is it's true.
Also mit einem muss ich ihm recht geben. Medizin sollte für alle verfügbar sein.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
Yes, Ray is nice when he's quiet. But get him started and it's tough to shut him up.
Who trained him?
I think he already knew some phrases when Mother bought him. She's managed to teach him a few new ones, though.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Who's a pretty bird?
Ray's a pretty bird.
Polly want a cracker?
No, thank you.
pieces of 8?
Bye, matey. Work,
Who's a pretty bird?
work. Ray's a pretty bird.
So long, Birdie.
Work. Bye-bye.
Das Gespräch war jetzt nicht hilfreich.
Amelie?
Yes? What is it? We mustn't be seen talking.
Anything you can tell me about John?
I hardly ever see him. Only at dinner. He's scared of Madam, and so he finds any reason to get out of the house and stay away as long as he can.
Scared of her?
Oh, it's true. You should see him when they're in private, like a shamed puppy that dirtied the carpet.
Interesting.
Do you have any idea why Jean is so afraid of Madame Dupre?
If he's seen the same things we have, then yes.
What kind of things?
No, I spoke out of turn. Forget I said anything.
Amelie, listen to me. A potentially innocent man's life is on the line. If I don't find out who attacked Madame Dupre, he's as good as dead. So if there are any facts or details you know that I don't, you need to tell me.
I can't.
You can. I'm not with the police. If Madame Dupre did something wrong, I'm not going to look the other way. Trust me, I'm on your side.
Madam beats the servants. I think she even does it for fun. I hear the screams sometimes. I don't know how anyone else in the family doesn't. Maybe they do and just ignore it. I don't know. But if Mr. Dupre knows what she do, it explains why he's so scared of her.
Did Madame Dupre ever abuse you?
No, I was lucky. But some of the others weren't.
Like who? I need details, Amelie.
The old gardener, Guy Dumas, and one of the maids, Celine. I saw Madame going after them the most. Don't know what they did to deserve it, but I would see her walk by in a rage, whip in one hand and a book in the other.
A book? What book?
Oh, I don't know. I can't read, so I don't know what it said on the cover. But it's the same color as the stew spice I always use. Don't know what she used it for, but she always had it with her, just before a beating.
Maybe she'd recite them some of her terrible poetry. I'm sure that was torture enough.
Tell me more about Guy and Celine.
They were deeply in love with each other. I used to hear them talk about how they wanted to run away together.
What happened to them?
I don't know. One day they were here, and then one day they weren't.
Do you think Madame Dupre may have done something to them?
I couldn't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if she had. Please, let's not talk about this anymore.
Thank you, Amelie. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Now please, let me get back to work.
Hello again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Is there anything you can tell me about your stepfather, Jean?
He's a kind man. I don't really see him too often. He seemed rather upset at Mother's funeral, but I can't help but wonder if he feels the same way as I do about her death.
What do you mean?
Just that I get the distinct impression that he and Mother's marriage isn't as perfect as they'd like it to appear.
I'm starting to sense a trend here.
Your brother told me that Jean enjoys hunting. Do you know where his cabin is?
Yes, it's in Fenton Swamp. I went out there with him a few times, but I didn't really enjoy it. Frankly, the place is rather grotesque. All those stuffed trophies staring at you with their cold, dead eyes. Plants are much nicer to have around. Anyway, if you take the main road through the swamp about 1.5 miles, you'll come upon a small dirt path that goes northeast. Take that until you see a small cabin on the left. That's it.
Thank you for the information, Miss Montgomery. Do you know Guy Dumas?
Yes, he was one of our servants. He used to enjoy reading my books, as well as Andrew's.
When did you see him last?
Just last week. He came by to see me and asked to borrow some books.
Do you know where I might be able to find him?
Not really. I get the impression that he moves around frequently. but I can tell him you're looking for him next time I see him, if you like.
Please do. Although hopefully I'll be able to find him before then. Were you friends with Celine, the maid?
Yes, I was quite fond of Celine. She was so sweet and interesting to talk to. One day, she just left the house with no explanation. Mother said it was because she had found work elsewhere. I was terribly saddened. I wish I'd had the chance to say goodbye to her, at least. What's your interest in her?
Oh, I was just curious, that's all. No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Done.
Hello? Is anyone here?
Strange of Dupre to leave the door unlocked. Maybe it means he'll be returning soon. One of the guns is missing. Jean must be out using it currently. Satchels, boxes, and other assorted boring things for hunting. It seems Mr. Dupre is a Bollingworth man. Maybe he's not so bad after all. An absolute bore. Are these even native to New Britannia? I had a nasty run-in with an alligator when I was a child. One less in the world doesn't really bother me, to be honest. You really have to wonder about someone who chooses to surround themselves with dead things. Not a very dignified end for our friend Mr. Bear. Some high society type in the middle of a hunt. I don't understand why anyone would get a thrill out of murdering innocent creatures.
Let's see if Jean has anything interesting in here.
Not very much, except a letter.
Lieber Jean, vielen Dank für deine Hilfe. Es ist nicht zu fassen, dass Mutter wirklich wollte, dass ich von der Uni geschmissen werde. Einfach unglaublich. Sorge dich nicht. Ich werde ihr nicht sagen, dass du die Direktion der Uni umgestimmt hast. Ein Anlauf, ein Leben zu ruinieren, reicht schon. Juliette.
Who the hell are you? What are you doing in my cabin?
Jean Dupre, I presume?
Yes, that's right. Who are you?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the attempted murder of your wife.
Oh, yes, of course. Forgive my rudeness, but you startled me.
Perfectly understandable, Mr. Dupre.
This is a man whose bark is most definitely worse than his bite.
Can we talk, Mr. Dupre?
I suppose so, yes.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
Oh, my dear wife, the past few days have been just awful for all of us.
Yes, I can imagine. How long have you been married?
For 7 wonderful years. Laura and I are just as much in love now as we were on the day we married.
Lord, does he actually expect anyone to believe that nonsense?
You'll pardon me for being so frank, Mr. Dupre, but why are you out hunting and not at your wife's side?
Excuse me? Who are you to lecture me on my marriage?
A fellow married man, that's who. Your wife has just suffered a very traumatic ordeal. Shouldn't you be at home caring for her?
But with all the confusion at the house, with the police investigating and her being attended to by her doctor, I just needed to get away for a bit. Surely you can understand, Mr. Fordham.
There's something off about this guy, Miles. He's definitely hiding something. And for once, I don't think it's from his wife.
Do you know anything about the circumstances surrounding Madame Dupre's death?
Horrible. Simply horrible.
Do you have any idea why Mr. Martin might have attempted to kill her?
Mr. Martin? You mean the boys they arrested? Andrew said it's because Martin and his mother are witches who prey on the well-to-do. You only need to take one look at him to see his trouble. It's a shame they put him away so quickly. I'd have liked to teach him a lesson or two, believe you me.
Yeah, right. A lesson on how to cower in the corner, most likely.
I suppose it goes without saying that you enjoy hunting, Mr. Dupre?
Yes, I do. I consider myself something of an outdoorsman, you see. It's nice to be able to go out and get some fresh air after being sat at the bank all day.
What about your home life?
Truth be told, I'm not at home as often as I'd like to be. I've been trying to make more time, but something usually comes up. Business is business, after all.
Yeah, but what business are we talking about here exactly?
What can you tell me about your stepchildren?
Andrew and Juliet? I see a bright future ahead for both of them.
What's your relationship with them like?
It's fine. Why do you ask?
I got the distinct impression from both of them that they hardly ever see you.
Well, yes, I suppose that is true. We don't spend much time together. But they're both so busy with school, I don't want to get in their way. Not to mention my job keeps me away from home for considerable periods of time.
Excuses, excuses. I get the feeling Mr. Dupre avoids his family on purpose. But why?
Tell me what you know about Guy Dumas and Celine.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about.
They were former servants of yours. Do you not remember them?
Oh, I remember them. I just have nothing to say about them.
I've met some bad liars in my day, but this guy really takes the cake. We'll get him, somehow.
Do you fear your wife, Mr. Dupre?
Do I... what?
The question's quite simple. Are you afraid of Madame Dupre?
Why in the ether would you think that?
Come on, Mr. Dupre, you're clearly afraid of your own shadow.
What?
Don't deny it, Sean. You're as yellow as a chum harlot's teeth.
Mr. Fordham, I agreed to answer your questions, not to be insulted. I think it's best if you leave.
Well, so much for this line of inquiry.
Ja, ich glaube, das habe ich mal wieder vergeigt. Sorry. Ja, shoot. Ich glaube, wenn es hier ein Bad Ending gibt, kriegen wir das. Ha! Und nu? Fuck. Ich bin ein großartiger Detektiv.
Well, this should be the book Amelie mentioned. Well, what have we here?
A whip. And it has dried blood on it. How ghastly.
This house is just full of secrets, isn't it?
So, was war das? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Das scheint auch nichts gemacht zu haben. meinst in der Hoffnung, dass ich sie auch endgültig vergraule? Endlich?
Quite the assortment of plants they...
Und sie sagt auch noch
Hello
ja.
again, Miss Montgomery. Mind answering a few more questions?
Hello, Mr. Fordham. Not at all.
Did your mother try to get you withdrawn from the university?
As a matter of fact, she did. Just another one of the many ways she tried interfering with my life.
What happened, exactly?
Mother wrote the university requesting that I be withdrawn. I found out about it when the enrollment office contacted me. I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was some sort of mistake, but then they showed me the letter.
I take it you were upset.
More than upset, Mr. Fordham. I was furious. I was trying to make a real life for myself. One that wasn't about dresses or debutante balls or fending off suitors. I'd been given the chance to make something of myself, and Mother was ready to bring it all crashing down, just because she didn't agree with it.
But in the end, you're still here.
Yes, Jean stepped in and fixed everything. He didn't have to do it, but it was very good of him. I'm afraid that was the beginning of the end of my relationship with Mother. We never really managed to fix things after that.
No more questions for now.
Then if you don't mind, I have work to do.
Fordham, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Wait, what am I saying? Of course you are! Madame Dupre has been interfering with Juliet's studies and disapproved of her relationship with Martin, hence they're falling out. Plus, the information in Juliet's notes about ethericity, putting animals into a death-like trance, seems awfully suspicious. It's enough to establish both means and motive. That's plenty to consider her a suspect.
Can we talk?
Go on, I'm listening.
I think I'm ready to wrap this case up.
Okay, who's your prime suspect?
It was Juliet Montgomery, Madame Dupre's estranged daughter.
Her daughter? But why?
Madame Dupre disapproved of Juliet's relationship with Mr. Martin and also tried to have her withdrawn from university. Juliet grew to hate her and wanted to be free of her overbearing and controlling influence.
So, how did she do it?
Aside from studying botany, Juliet is also interested in ethericity. She rents a room in the chum where she conducts her experiments. Among her notes, she talks about the ability to use the power to put living things into a death-like trance.
Fiendish. Nice work, Fordham. I'll pass along the information and we can make an arrest. It'll be bittersweet news for Mr. Martin, I think. And of course, I'll dip into the department's Good Samaritan fund to get you proper compensation for your work. For now, go home to your wife. I'm sure I'll have something else for you to look into fairly soon.